Welcome to Story Ideas on the Fly.
Where we pick a random idea from a hat.
And then we just try to develop it.
If you like any of the ideas here, feel free to take them for your own stories.
Ideas are free.
Let's see what today's story idea is. Smiling monster or something.
Smiling monster.
Smiling monster or something? Okay, do we want to go with the horror aesthetic where we just make it so that it's a terrifying monster that happens to smile? Or should we go with something like it's a terrifying monster that's actually just trying to make people smile?
Yes, there are two main routes you could go with this, and they're both rather open-ended. You have the horror route, and then you have the comedy route. And it all depends on what kind of story you want to tell. However, in this particular case, since this is an exercise in creating stories, I say the one we should probably go with is the harder one, which is the comedy route. Because smiling monsters is nothing new. It's been done multiple times, and having something stalking you in the night with a creepy smile can make some wonderful horror stories. But if you wanted to make it comedic, that's something else we could do, and that would probably be the more of a challenge. So I say we go with that one.
Okay, so our main
Okay.
character is a monster
Scary
that is
monster with a creepy
terrifying
smile.
with a creepy old smile trying to make people happy.
Oh, so both. Okay, that works too.
I like it. So he's a creepy, scary monster with a big smile that wants to make people happy. Let's see.
Should we go with a clown?
What kind of world is he in?
Well, if we're going with that, then we probably would end up going with
Urban fantasy?
Yeah, urban fantasy.
Urban
kind of
fantasy
thing.
probably works the
Urban
best.
fantasy.
Yeah.
We haven't done a lot of those.
Okay, something like, what if was it specifically a monster with a smile or a smiling
It just
monster?
said smiling monster.
Smiling monster
Or something.
or something, right? What if he was an actual smile monster, like literally
a floating smile?
no, the essence of smiling in a monstrous form. So he could be something like, yeah, like almost like the Cheshire Cat smile that doesn't disappear until everything else, but like everywhere. So instead of this shadow looking around, what you actually see is just a bunch of smiling smiles.
Okay, you know me. I like to see how many ways I can fit something into a prompt. So what if you took a villain like a Doulahan or a lava child or something where they have that continual smile on their face, but they are totally terrifying and creepy. And so you take that aspect for your villain. Then for your hero, you take the other aspect where he's a monster, but a very happy, kind monster who's very misunderstood because he looks like a monster. Then you could set this in a world where there are other monsters, but most of the people are human or some humanoid race that are afraid of the monsters. And you could get some interesting characters if we again want to go with the embodiment of the smile, a good old Grimalkin like the Cheshire Cat, who is going to be totally obnoxious and make everyone hate the monsters because he's a cat. And we all know how cats are, right?
Yeah, love him and hate him. Yeah, you could do something where it's multiple monsters interacting with each other. We could almost sell like retail Monsters Inc., but in a completely different way.
Well, and your hero is a monster. Was he always a monster, or did he become a monster?
Well, I guess it depends on the setting, because if we have it depends on where monsters come from in this world. If monsters are like magical mutations that happen in people that make them monstrous,
Then absolutely. If monsters are instead something like imagination brought to life, then no, he was a thought.
right.
So it
So
depends.
what I like the idea of like either imagination brought to life or maybe fears brought to life more specifically. So basically
Maybe
have a
just
like a
something
collective
like a trypophobia
uncon-
monster.
What's trypophobia again?
Fear of holes.
That's the one with holes.
Okay, but
Okay.
here you can get if
You could get
fears
some
are
pretty
coming to
creepy
life,
ones though.
you can
Oh,
get some
yeah.
very creepy things, but you could also get some very funny things because you have a lot of people that have some weird fears.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
what was the
Fear-
Far Side designed fear?
Fear of being that somewhere
Tell
out there
us
there's a duck
is
watching you.
Yeah, the one coined by the Far Side that I don't think anyone actually has, but you could make an entire character who was just a duck
Who just
that
dares
appears out of nowhere.
Well, if it's something that not very many
There's
people
also
are
a
afraid
legitimate
of, it may not be
fear
very-
of getting peanut butter stuck to the roof of your mouth. That is a legitimate fear. It has a name. I just don't remember it.
The
You could
downside,
fuck that.
yeah, you could work with that as a concept. So the question then is, who is your hero and why is he?
Mhm.
I mean, people
Pawn-
could be afraid of smiles or afraid of laughter or afraid of, I mean, clowns, but that's a
That's
different thing.
too overdone.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
don't-
have
we don't
clowns.
do
He has to be a
clowns.
villain.
Yeah, but that's too overdone.
Well,
but
since
if
it
you
is
had someone-
overdone, there are a lot of people who are afraid of clowns, so you'd have to make it a character, or have to at least imply that a character for that exists in this world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But whatever your so what would your hero be?
Wait a
well,
second. The monstrous math teacher. I used to teach math. Everyone's afraid of us.
It's true.
you could have the scary teacher as a monster because
Mhm.
it's whatever they're based on fears. So yeah, fears that enough people have. Okay, you could Now the question is, what would a fear want?
Here you could have kind of someone isekai into this world to try to help the people overcome their fears. Because until the
Or
people
you
of this
could just
world
have a
overcome the world,
psychiatrist.
Or what if you had someone who was the embodiment of the fear of not being good enough? Because he would want, because that's something everyone is afraid of, or most
Yeah.
people are afraid of. But, so it would be a really powerful fear, but it's also a fear rooted in good intentions and a desire to be good. So I think he would actually want to help humanity.
Wait. Yeah. In that case, I think you could have. I think in that case, the monsters would either, as their existence, go one of two ways.
Mm-hmm.
One would be to justify their own existence, which would be to get more people terrified of them, scare people, because otherwise, why do they exist? They are literally fears. But the other one would be to overcome their own fears, basically, to
Yeah.
overcome themselves. And so you could almost have this
More factions?
dichotomy. Yes, a faction system within the monsters, where some monsters think we are monsters, we should be monsters, and
Yeah,
some say
embrace the fear, and some,
and some
want to
say
overcome
no,
the fear.
we should overcome ourselves. And in that case, that could be an
If a
interesting
monster
story about
overcomes itself, can it achieve kind of an enlightened phase, a good version of
I wouldn't
itself?
say don't turn it human or anything, but I'd say
No,
it
I
could
wouldn't
become
turn
like
it
a
human,
good.
but make
It could
into
become like
some
a
kind of
Like
good
a
energy.
reformed version of that fear.
yeah, like what when you take that fear and overcome it in the real life, because you can overcome a fear in real life, and it always
yeah.
becomes you become stronger
Alright.
for it, and so and so you have this fear of not being good enough, which is this. What would that even appear as? Probably some like spindly monster that weakens.
Something that's not enough. So it would have to be something that looks weak, ugly, basically just like it could have been more, but it just isn't. Is what
Like
I'm
a half completed
Or
monster
some,
type.
yeah,
Exactly.
or something that looks like it could be something that looks like it's on its way to being the great hero, but just not enough.
I was going to say, it doesn't have to be ugly. It just has to be plain.
Yeah,
Because
no.
how many people are like that? They feel like they're not good enough, and there's nothing inherently wrong with them.
Mhm.
They just don't feel like there is something wonderfully grand, I'm really
Mhm.
somebody.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So in this case, we have this, and so he, I think, would eventually become the leader of his side of the coin, because he's very much I want to overcome who I am, and I want to become a I don't know. I'm just gonna Fae. Let's go with Fae. The overcome monsters who overcame their own fears.
We'll
They
just
become
call him
Fae.
Faye for now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he'd probably be trying to become a Fae, and in order to do so, he has to not only overcome the fear himself, but he has to basically help
Help
other
other
people
people
overcome
overcome
this
it?
fear. And so you could, and so this would be a very personal journey.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have world-shaking consequences. It would just be one guy's search to become a better version of himself.
Yeah.
Which often some of the
Now-
best stories are those.
In the meantime, though, you have this world with these monsters that lurk in the shadows. Do you have humans who fight them? Human hunters?
Obviously, yes.
Probably.
You always have someone's going to go fight against
Which
the
would
monster.
probably mean
I
you'd have
see a
probably
potential love
2
interest
kinds
here.
of monsters.
Sorry.
Yes, you
go
could
on.
have
Of course
two
you
love
do.
hinges. You always could, but
Sorry, continue.
I'd say that means we probably want to have 2 kinds of villains then. Obviously, we want to have that monster who is fear of creepy smiles, who's thinks, no, we are monsters. We should embrace the monsterhood, and is trying to justify his own existence, partially by breaking this guy down and going, no, we are monsters. You can't be trying to make yourself better, because if you're doing that and you're
yes,
the
if you're
fear
trying
of
to
being
justify
that,
your existence, and someone who's actively working to overcome your existence is kind of the exact opposite.
yeah,
Yes.
So yeah, he'd be trying to take him down, but then you could also have like
just random hunters.
antagonists, not so much villains, but antagonists who are humans who are going, oh, you're a monster. We can't let you be hurting people.
We gotta kill you.
And
We
then-
gotta fight you.
And I mean, I think some people would, some hunters would go, yeah, some monsters are seeking to overcome their innate monstrosity and become Fae, but I think 99% of them wouldn't go, hey, excuse me, monster.
find out whether Yeah.
You planning on killing and hurting people, or are you one of the few people who is actually trying to overcome your own monstrous nature? No, it's monster, kill it.
Yes.
How about this for a big bad villain? Because I always love the really hateable villain.
That was the smile monster.
Well, yes, but the smile monster, but you haven't given me really good motive for him to be hateable. The smile monster is the Doulahan, representing death. Okay?
Oh, so
What?
fear of death.
What hardly are people more fear of than death? So what he is doing is he is going around to try to create more monsters, because more monsters
And encouraging them to kill
yeah.
people.
Yes, he is going to go around and either try to kill people because he doesn't care if they live or not, or
No, he wants people
what-
to die.
yeah. So he's going to go around and try to scare people into thinking they're going to die, and often just going ahead and killing them because, if fear comes true, that's fine too. We still get his monsters. And so that is how he is gaining power over the monster world, is by ruling it through the fear of death, which he represents. It could be hateable. It could have its
You'd be
moments
creepy.
of dark and creepy with him, but you could also, with some of these little smiley good monsters, come into some very good comedy too. I think it's writable.
I think it's writable.
I'd have to modify a little bit if I would write it, but yeah, I think it's writable too.
I think it'd be fun to write.
Well,
And you would do it very differently depending on if you're doing it for like a young reader series. Because it could make a very fun young reader series where you did, here I've got a different book with a different fear.
Yeah, and watching him
a different
overcome
fear
the
each
that'd
time
be a fun young
versus it-
reader
yeah,
series.
versus it would be very good young reader series versus if you were doing it, for an adult audience.
Darn you, Mom. Now I'm thinking
So yeah.
about it.
well, maybe
Those
you
are
can write it.
ideas. We
Or
can
maybe
write
someone else
it.
wants
to write it.
Too. We'll see you next time.